Okay, so yeah, so the first few, like on this here, the notes are basically through what do you notice, and then you guys have your assignment that follows. So it has the notes at the beginning of the assignment and your assignment after. I think that might make it easier to find all of your stuff so you can find everything all just in one page. Okay, so below is an example of a function f and its inverse f and its inverse f negative 1. So a couple of things. So this is the graph of f. The notation for inverse, so we call it an inverse, and the notation is we do that little negative 1. So it's f, and then we write a negative 1 there. All an inverse is, well, let me not give it away. Let's list the points. So we're going to fill in the table. So let's look at the first function. So that graph f, I made it be a linear function so we can just kind of focus on the points, and we want to fill in the table. Okay, so if we go this point right here, what are the coordinates of that point right there? What's the x coordinate? What's the y coordinate? I think we were talking about a different point. Let's do this one, the far left one first. What's the x coordinate and what's the y coordinate?
-4.
Good. So -4, -4. So in the table, all right, x is -4 and the function is -4. Okay, if I go to the next point, this point right here, we need the x coordinate and the y coordinate. What's the x coordinate? Good. So that's what's going in the table. So the table is just your x coordinate and your y coordinate.
Or you just find the dots.
Yeah, yep, so we're just working with those 4 points. Okay, what about this one? Good, 0 and then 2. The only time I see students make mistakes, or even myself make a mistake, is when I switch those two. So just remember x, then y. So 0 and 2. And the last point, 3. Okay, do the same thing for the inverse. You guys do this one on your own. Fill in the table for the inverse function. There's 4 points, so fill in the table. What are the 4 points from that function? Oh, thank you. Yeah, she caught my mistake. This should be 0, -2. Maybe somebody else did too. That should have been 0, -2. We went down to table. All right. Jack, what were your points in your table for f inverse?
-4, -4.
Okay.
-2, -3.
Okay.
-2, 0. Then 3, 5.
Anybody disagree with them? We all right? Okay. What was that? So on this one, let's double check. So the x coordinate comes first, so 3 and then 5. What do you guys notice? Are they the same as the original?
No, it's just like
They're flip-flopped, right? So notice if we compare these two tables, when we're comparing these, says, what do you notice? How would you explain that? When you say flip-flopped, be specific. What happened? Yeah.
they started the same place, but then
The x and y points are switched. Good. This one is unique in that they start at the same point. That's kind of unique to this one, and that's just because it's the same x and y. But what she said was super important. The x and y switch places. So the x and y values switch. Okay.
Will we be able to use our notes on the final
Yep, so anything you've got for your next test and your final, so the more organized you are, the better. Yeah.
You, he, oh,
Me? Oh, geez, no, I'm good.
okay.
Yeah, all right. Okay, so what you're gonna do on these problems, the only difference is I'm not giving you the graph. So on the graph, you're gonna sketch both the original function and the inverse function. So I'm helping you out a little. I'm telling you what x values I want you to plug in, and we want to find the y values. I want us to do this by hand first. So how do we evaluate f at -2? What do we do here to get f at -2? How would I find the y coordinate? Yeah. Perfect. Okay, so that's why I've given you a little bit of space here, so you do have some work to show. So you're going to do f at -2, which means we're replacing x with a -2. We're going to see what we get. 3 times a -2, that's -6 minus 1. And what do we get? -7. Not bad. Okay, what's the next number we need to plug in? -1. Good.
How did we get the 6 on there? Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, I'm glad. Thanks for asking. It was just this product. So I plugged in place of x, I plugged in the -2. So 3 times -2 gave us the -6.
I see. Okay.
So this next one, I'll do 3 times a -1 and then -1. So what is 3 times a -1?
3.
-3. And then we -1 and we get what? Good. Go ahead and finish this table. Finish the next 3 values. So plug in 0, then plug in 1, then plug in 2.
Do we have to write it, or can we just like?
If you do it in your head,
Yeah.
you can do it in your head.
Okay.
As long as you get it right. But yeah, if you're comfortable doing it in your head, go for it. Never trust me, so check your answers with mine. If you think I'm wrong, let me know. Great. Carson had a good question. He said, do you have to show your work? So this stuff over here, no. If you're good at doing math in your head, if you're comfortable and you can do like multiplication and all of that, and you can get these answers right, fantastic. So I think there are always people who fall like in two ends, right? Some people are really good at doing math in their head and some people are not. What's funny is being a math teacher, everyone thinks I'm really good at doing math in my head, which I am not. So like I go out to dinner and my friends are always like, you calculate this, you can do it. I'm like, I don't do math in my head, just because I do math. Like you've seen me, I make mistakes all the time. Like I had a window guy actually on Friday come give me an estimate at my house on like how much this would be. He's like, man, it's a 15% discount. He's all embarrassed that he has to do it on the calculator because I told him I'm a math teacher. And I was like, believe me, I screw up all the time. So being good at math in your head doesn't make you like good or bad. It's just we each have different skills, right? So some of you are really good at doing it in your head. If you are, do it in your head. If you're not, use a calculator. Okay, I also want to show you how we could check this on our calculator and do the entire table on our calculator. Okay, this one was easy, but as the functions maybe get more difficult, like square root of x plus 2, maybe you wouldn't want to do it in your head. So everybody grab a graphing calculator. I'm going to show you the table function on there. I know. I'm going to work on that today at lunch. One of the teachers ordered a bunch, and I need to check in with her and see if they've arrived. Oh yeah, I haven't taken attendance. Hi, Lyndon and Ridge. How are you guys doing? Lyndon and Ridge, how are you guys doing? You're worrying me. Oh, it's me. I can't hear you. Let's see. Aha. There, it was my fault. I didn't have that plugged in. Sorry, Lyndon, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Now I can hear you. Okay, do you have access to a calculator?
Yes.
Okay. Ridge, do you have access to a graphing calculator? Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Are you recording your meeting?
I am, thank you. Okay, I'm going to switch my screen online so I can share the whole thing. So I'm going to lose it for 1 second, but then I'll re-get it back.
That's pretty good.
Okay.
They still haven't been shut down. They've not been shut down. But that's a loss.
Okay.
I just hope we stay in school.
Okay. Okay, sorry, it takes me a second to get my calculator connected. Okay, so what I want us to do is I'm just going to show you how you could do the entire table on your calculator pretty quickly, and then it's up to you, depending on how hard a question is. To complete the table, you can go into your y equals, and we're going to enter in this function. Okay, so hit y equals and enter in 3x minus 1. So y equals, hit clear, type in 3x minus 1. Make sure you are following along, okay? You can't do the next step if you haven't done these steps, and you can't join in later. So make sure you're doing each of these. I'm not going to hit graph because I actually don't care about the graph right now. I'm trying to create a table. Look at your graph button. Don't press it, but look right above it. Do you see in blue that it says table? We want to create a table. But before we go to the table, we want the table to look like the table that we had on our paper. Meaning our table started at -2, and then our table is counting by what? Ones. So we want to tell our calculator to create the same table. To do that, look above window. You see above window it says TBL, that stands for table, so that's table set. So we need to set the table up. So you hit your blue button and then the window to go to table set. Okay, so everybody here. We only change these first two things. This stands for table start. Well, what do we want our table to start at?
-2.
-2. Remember the negative, type in the little negative, so a -2. And then this next one, that little triangle, that stands for change in the table. So this here, that stands for the change in the table. What do we want our table to change by each time? 1. So we're going to hit clear. If you have anything in there, just type in 1. That way, when we look at the table, it will match the table that we wanted created. So above graph in blue, it says table. So you're going to hit second graph. Here's our table. And then you can compare. So here, I'll slide it over. It is, right? So we have -7, -4, -1, 2, 5. It does go on for forever. And these are the points that they wanted us to fill in. Everybody good with that? So that's super helpful. Now, some of you who are like, well, I was able to do that really fast in my head, then maybe you wouldn't use the table. But as the functions get harder, maybe you would. Yeah. Then you get to choose. So Etienne had a good question. If you're not giving, so I think that's how, does that happen later? Did I stop giving you points? Oh, I think I did. But yeah, if it was one where I didn't tell you what to start it at, you could start at any number you want and then go to whatever values you want. Okay, so let's go back to your assignment and finish the rest of this question. So we've created our table. You can create your table in one of two ways, either by plugging in numbers or using your calculator. Now we want to do the inverse. So what numbers do we write in this table? Exactly. So in fact, let's go ahead and graph this one first, then the inverse. Let's do it one at a time. So I'll graph F. So I'm going to go to -2, -7. A lot of points. If you have different colors, like if you have a pencil and a black pen even, or like two different color writing utensils, it might be helpful. Not necessary, but it might be helpful to look at. Okay, 0, -1, 1, 2, 2, 5. Now, I only graphed those points. But from the table, I heard somebody say like that it goes on for forever, right? A linear function just continues. So I see the pattern. So I will go ahead and extend it and draw arrows. What is the slope of this line we just drew?
Linear.
It is linear. And what is the slope? you tell the slope? What is it? Yeah,
3/1.
3/1. Good. Can you guys, like, you can count it off up 3/1, so the slope is 3. It's a review of linear. How did we know that from the equation? Where's the slope found in the equation?
3.
Yeah, it's always the number in front of x, right? That's our slope. So I'm not surprised that it has a slope of 3. If it didn't, I would question the table that I made a mistake. Okay, so this is f. I think it's helpful to label it. So I'm going to label this one f of x. Then I want to graph the inverse function. Well, in the table, so for me, I can change color, so I'll change color. So the inverse, what do I do to get the inverse table? Good, we just switch them, right? We just switch the x and y places. So it will be -7, -2, -4, -1, and so on. Not bad. Then we come over to the graph and we want to plot those points. So I'm going to go to where x is -7. So -7 is up back here, down 2, and I'll plot a point. You guys continue. Never trust me, I make mistakes. -4, -1. I'm going to label that one too. The inverse is that little -1. Indicate it's the inverse of the other function. Okay, I want you to notice something graphically. So from the table, we switch the x and the y places. Graphically, it's like drawing a line here at y equals x. If I can go through and make it have a slope of 1. So this is the line y equals x. Do you see how they are just a reflection of each other over that line? I don't know if you guys ever did like those drawings in kindergarten where you fold it over and you rub it and get the symmetry of it, right? Imagine folding this over that orange line. The blue line would lie on the purple line. So they're a reflection of each other over that line y equals x, because all we're doing is we're switching the y and x places. Okay, so there are a couple things I want you to notice. That's one of them. Okay, so you guys just have a few more of these. You have 4 of those, and then after you've done them, the goal is to get to where you can sketch the inverse function without having to do everything else. So we'll do one more together, and then I'll let you guys see if you can do the others. How do you guys, what do we do first?
On the calculator, or are we doing it on?
It's up to you. You get to
Oh,
choose.
sweet.
How would you guys, what do you guys want to do? Calculator. So let's practice the calculator. So if you want to complete the table in your calculator, what's the first step?
You have to put in 2x plus 3.
Good. Good. So we're going to go into your y equals. Remember, if it's a negative, you have to hit the negative, which is right below the 3. So not the subtract, but the negative. So -2x plus 3. Okay, so to create a table of values, step 1, remember you get your notes on your assignment and stuff. So if it's helpful, it might be a good idea to write below, since you have space. You could say on calculator, step 1 is go to your y equals. What's step 2?
Go to window.
Okay, so what does it say above window?
Table set.
Good, so I'm going to do table set. Here you would do table start and change in table. So for ours, what do we want our table to start at?
-2.
Good, and the change in the table is 1. For this assignment, it's the same every time. So you're not going to have to keep going in and changing it. So you could skip this second step. After you've done that, then what would you do?
Press enter.
Okay, so let me catch up. So I'm going to go second table set. I'm double checking this, but it's already -2 and 1. By the way, we will never mess with this that says auto and ask. We never ever change that. It's always just on auto. How do I now view the table? Good, it's the graph, but it's in blue. So you hit your second button and then graph. Yeah.
Why is it -2 and 1?
Let me mention it 1 second. Let me just make a note here. So you're going to hit second plus graph to view table. So the reason why I have the table start at -2 is because that's what I want it to start at. So this is the start, whatever the first X value is in your table. The reason why we say it's counting by 1 is because our step going from like 0 to 1, 1 to 2 is 1. Because sometimes you might have a table where you want to plug in 5, then 10, then 15, then 20. So you'd be counting by 5s.
Can I just show you my practice?
Uh-huh.
And show you.
Okay, so it's because we have to go to table sets, we have to hit second table set.
Oh,
So in fact, let me add that to here. So step 2, I should say, there are 2 buttons. We have to hit second plus window.
there we go, thank you.
Uh-huh. And that, do you guys agree with my numbers? Yeah, it starts, yeah. By polynomials, I would agree. This is going to be easier. Okay, so I'm going to let you guys finish this. I don't think you're going to need my help too much. I will post the key, so you should get this done. I'm going to open your test, and then I want you guys, if you finish this, you need to go back and fill in the survey that you are supposed to do on Friday. Okay, only 6 people did it on Friday, which means the other 20 of you can finish it today. If you are one of the people who finished it on Friday, you finish this, you're done, and you're set. Otherwise, you're working on other missing late assignments. Yeah. Oh, and it's off our table. Okay, just plug the ones that we can on our table. Yeah, click on 3, you get a Y value of 24, which is way off of our current grid. Just plot the points that fall within there. You have to be in your CSD Docs account to make sure you're in that. So you can change it. I know on mine I don't constantly have to change between my Google accounts, but if you're in that one,
Thank you.
do all of these first. It's on today's assignment, everyone. But if I gave you a table where I said it started at 0, 5, 10, 15, start at 0, what would you start? So you start with whatever you first. Oh, you're fine. Okay, I'm also going to look at.
Is this assignment due on campus?
Yes. Yep. So what you guys will do is you'll take a picture, front and back page, and you'll submit everything as a file upload. So, yep, just like normal. And it's just page 1. So remember, there are 4 pages in this packet, but today is only page 1. So don't go ahead. No, let me do that. I'll finish that right now. Thanks. Lyndon and Ridge. Ridge, I wanted to tell you I did get a bunch of your late work. So thank you for getting those in. If you have any others, feel free. And Lyndon, I'm